Hi everybody, my name is Didi Vergados and I'm your host from InTheKnowRadio.com, where we speak to ordinary people about the extraordinary things that they've been able to achieve. So today my guest is going to be Rick Knicely. Hi Rick.
Hi.
Hi, and Rick Knicely is a computer software engineer turned hypnotist. You're going to be hearing firsthand how Rick was able to lose over 100 pounds in just 8 months through utilizing the power of his mind. And as I've mentioned in previous videos and podcasts, I've spent the greater part of my life seeking out anything that can help us to unlock the power of our minds and achieve our goals. And although in this podcast series you're going to hear us talking a lot about hypnosis, it's important that you know that we not only utilize hypnosis techniques, but also other mind technologies such as Neuro Linguistic Programming, anything that would help us to unlock the power of our minds. So today I'm happy to say that this is going to be Rick's first public appearance, and you're going to hear from him how he was able to lose such an enormous amount of weight through the various methods that we employed, and just what that journey felt like for Rick. So Rick, how much have you lost to date so far?
I'm at 110 pounds, Didi.
110 pounds. So I know that your first 100 came off in approximately 8 months. So had you tried to lose the weight before?
Oh, for years.
Okay.
I'd take some off and it'd come back more. I'd take some off and it'd come back more. Matter of fact, last year before I met you, I had gone to my doctor and I said, you know what, this isn't happening. I'm happy to start taking whatever meds you think I need to take.
So you were in such a crisis point that you almost felt like, you know, I'll do anything. I'll take medication. I'll do anything to finally get on this weight loss road. So what was going on in your life, both emotionally and physically? Let's begin with physically. Tell us about what your levels were at, because I know since you've lost the weight, everything's not only normalized, but become exceptional.
Oh, it's exceptional now. Before, my triglycerides were someplace in the order of 300 to 360. My total cholesterol was over 220, and now my total triglycerides are down to 100. My total cholesterol is down to like 120. My good cholesterol is at 40. I was pre-diabetic, and that's gone. My sugar is at 4.5, and I feel so much better. And my doctor was so shocked that he asked me to help him figure out what to do for himself.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Okay, so what are the kind of foods that you're eating that allowed all these levels to not just normalize, but to become even better?
Well, I started with eating a lot of protein foods and high-fat foods like avocados and coconut oil, but not the bad fats. Lots of vegetables. I love vegetables anyway. The foods that I avoided were all the complex carbohydrates and the processed foods, because I learned that all those processed foods and complex carbohydrates just go right to sugar in your body, and that's just feeding the sugar addiction. And I was addicted to sugar, and not realizing that stuff was the addiction. That stuff was sugar.
Before we started working together, I remember that you said that you felt compelled to stop at a variety store pretty much whenever you were in the car, and then you'd go in and get like candy bars and all kinds of things.
Little Debbie snacks. Little Debbie snacks. I would stop, get gas, I'd have to go in and get a Little Debbie snack. If I was passing it, I would get a Little Debbie snack. If I knew they were in a cupboard, I'd eat the whole box.
So what is a Debbie snack for those of us who don't?
It's like a snack cake, Hostess.
Like a Twinkies
kind of thing, but made by a different company. It just happened to be my flavor of choice.
Okay, so we know that was occurring. So you were eating a lot of like sugar and refined carbohydrates, and that was causing you to be pre-diabetic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was pre-diabetic, and my doctor said if it showed above 100, I think, one more time, he would call me diabetic.
Oh wow!
I had cracked heels, some tough skin areas. I mean, all the symptoms were starting.
Wow, amazing.
That's all gone.
Yeah, it's all gone just because you made different food choices.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what was going on emotionally in your life at the time that maybe was causing you to make these unhealthy food choices?
A lot of stress in my life, a lot of personal stress, a lot of family stress. And what I found through working with you and afterwards is what I was really doing with that food is holding all those emotions down.
Okay.
And as long as I was eating that sugar, I didn't feel that stuff.
Right.
But after working with you, I felt differently about those things. I didn't need to have that addictive drug going into my body to change those emotions. They were changing by themselves.
Because you were actually taking the time to work with them.
Mm-hmm. I was working with them.
Yeah, and that's what we find often is people just want to avoid their emotions because they somehow feel like if they get in touch with them, it's going to be painful. But it isn't always like that, is it?
No, it's not. It's very reflecting. You start noticing the things about yourself you want to change, and when you change those things, just life gets better, and you don't have the guilt that drives the addiction. Because you're changing yourself, you're fixing yourself, and it's all having to do with putting your mind in the right mindset to do so.
Right. So talk to us about state of mind, and what is the state of mind that you had to let go of, and which one did you have to enter into to make all these changes?
I had to let go of guilt. I was punishing
so that was
myself.
A big one?
I was punishing myself
a lot? Okay.
We identified that through trance, that I was really punishing myself for all the other things that I was doing. And once I let go of the guilt and punishment, I could heal and move forward.
And so what is the state of mind that allowed you to not just make better and healthier food choices, but to actually lose that 100 pounds?
I no longer had any doubt.
Okay, doubt about it.
I doubt about the fact that I could do this, a doubt about that I'm going to get there. There was no willpower involved. It was just a new being. I think I mentioned to you the day after our first session, I went through one of those grocery stores and my mind was just like, no, I don't want that. Don't grab that. It was just so amazingly different mindset that I did not have the compulsion anymore to grab the stuff that wasn't good for me.
Okay. And because our previous podcast was on inner conflicts and parts work, just to let the audience know, that's actually what we did with Rick that allowed him to come to terms with this guilt he was feeling. And once we worked with that part of him, he simply no longer actually needed those, what do you call them, Debbie snacks?
Little Debbie snacks,
snacks, yeah. He no longer needed them. So I remember the first night after we did the work, you walked into the variety store and you had no desire, no urge whatsoever.
No urge, no desire. It was the weirdest thing. You know, the other thing, I was walking back home past pizza places. Every place is closed. And I wanted some dinner, right? Because it's been a long day. And I couldn't make myself go into the pizza places. I ended up going to a shawarma place and just getting cooked vegetables.
Wonderful, excellent. So that lets you know how powerful it is when we work with those inner conflicts and those parts. And with yours being a lot around guilt. So I guess the question in everybody else's mind is how did we know that you were no longer doubting the process, but what is it that got you through the more challenging times? Because I know that you were having some personal issues, yet you're still able to exercise, eat healthy, regardless of the personal issues that were going on.
Well, that was what was so weird to me, because you would think that the stress I was going through at that time would actually cause me not to be able to follow through. And the only way I can describe it is during this process, it kind of woke up my inner athlete. And I had this drive that I haven't felt for years. I'm actually getting chills thinking about it. And that drive was what drove me to go and do these things. And it wasn't big things right away. I think I walked for months, just walked, and I had blisters from walking. But I had the compulsion, and I had the desire, and I had the drive to go and do this in a way that I hadn't felt in years.
Okay, so explain to the audience your previous pattern, because you said that, for example, every September you'd start the diet?
Yeah, every spring I'd start.
Yeah,
every spring I'd start the diet, and then by the time it got to, I would say our Thanksgiving, I would kind of fall off and do the Thanksgiving thing, and then I would have excuses, and then before I knew it, I was back into my old habits, and I realized this time those were the addictions. But what was different this time, I did go through the Thanksgiving. And when Thanksgiving was over, I gave myself that time, and I was back on track. And it's that inner athlete that said, okay, I'm going to give you that couple days, and afterwards, we're going back at it. And there's no willpower. That's the biggest thing. There's no willpower. This is just the way your life is now.
Yeah, it's just a complete change in your entire state of being.
Your whole internal.
That's what's so hard for people to understand is when we say we use hypnosis for weight loss or hypnosis for quitting smoking, normally without the aid of weight loss or finding out what's driving the compulsion or the addiction to food or cigarettes or whatever it may be, people feel like they need to exercise willpower, so it's this constant battle all the time. But when you just change it at that unconscious level, you can walk into a store and you just don't you don't have any desire whatsoever for those
Yeah.
unhealthy foods anymore.
Yeah, willpower is a battle.
Yeah, willpower is a battle.
And there is no battle once your mind is changed.
Okay, so you yourself are well on the way to being a hypnotist when you had started this journey. Now talk to us about exercise and motivation for exercise, because for those of you who aren't aware, Rick was a former football athlete.
Right.
So explain to us what you're doing with exercise and motivation now to keep yourself even more powerfully on track.
Right. So, as I started to get more healthy and, started working out in the gym, I started to deconstruct what I would do as an athlete to kind of get into the zone. And the reason I would do that is because I'd have good days and bad days, and I wanted my bad days to be good days. And when I had the good days, I started deconstructing what do you do as an athlete to get into the zone and stay in the zone for the whole workout. So basically I started designing my workouts around doing this on purpose, getting into the zone on purpose and staying in the zone on purpose.
And since then I also know that because Rick's a software engineer turned hypnotist, you've been documenting all these amazing protocols you've come up with, have you not?
I have, yeah.
Wonderful. So here's the thing, for our next upcoming podcast, I'm going to be talking to Rick about breaking through into the next level and getting into the mind zone for exercise, because let's face it, I mean, he's done it. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And Rick knows how to call up that inner athlete, how to stay motivated by exercise and stay in that zone. In fact, he's given me a lot of good tips about how to break through to the next level. So that'll be our next podcast. So Rick's going to share with us some of his hypnotic protocols. And until then, be well. And thank you for being here, Rick.
Thank you.